Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Raad Life. Today's conversation feels different, but very deeply aligned, and you'll know more in a minute. Suffice it to say that I've known Shannon Ratcliffe for over a decade. We met inside the design world long before the Raad Life even existed. Probably known her for over 10 years. Probably closer to 20 actually, when she was shaping editorial culture at Lux Interiors and Design magazine, and I was shaping physical environments through design. Even then, what struck me wasn't just her eye for the publication, it was her instinct for rooms, for energy, for people. Shannon understands that design is never just aesthetic. It's emotional, it's communal, it's catalytic even. And I agree with that instinctively. So over the last few years, as both of us stepped into new seasons, a change happens, you grow into fields, you find yourself at thresholds, you explore other things. And I mean real threshold seasons. Something shifted. Shannon moved from leading established media platforms into creating her own consultancy and curated event experiences that were curated. That wasn't a career move, not from where I was standing. It looked more like an authorship move. And that's why her joining the Raad Life family recently, and I'm very proud of this, as creative editorial curator and partnership strategist feels less like an addition to what we're building at the Raad Life and more like a convergence, an alignment. Because the Raad Life has never been about performance identity. And I know we live in a world that's very performance driven, especially more so with social media every day. And you know what? I choose to rebel against that, to where I will adapt to that performance on my own terms every day and have the freedom always to say no, right? Because at this point in life, sometimes it's not about addition as much as it is about subtraction. And one of the things is that we live in a world that is performance identity driven. You don't believe me? When was the last time you posted something that wasn't curated or 8x10 glossy on your social media feed, right? Whether it was your food or your cool clothes or, oh my God, I'm so excited about this on LinkedIn, or I'm so excited the next day about something else on LinkedIn, right? We never, when the minute we started the Raad Life, even when it was the podcast only before the magazine and the media platform, it was never about performance identity. Even the interviews that we did, it was always about soliciting the real human person there. The best thing for me reward-wise was that I got a chance to sit every week with someone and actually, as they say in the South, visit and get to know and connect on a relationship basis. No notes. For the better part of 10 years, I never prepared notes. I wanted to be excited about the engagement and the experience, right? And so we were never about performance identity. And it's not about the resume version of who we are. Because at the end of the day, great, terrific. AI will write you the best friggin' resume, right?
Right.
But what does it really say anything about you? Is it real even? They may even give you a virtual version of yourself to go with your resume. So no longer a headshot on your own resume,
Nope.
right? So it's never been about performance identity on the Raad Life. It's about sovereignty for us, okay? It's the freedom to define your identity at any point in your life, but definitely at midlife. Like, you are being given a gift to do that if you choose to look at it that way, not based on applause, but on alignment with the people around you, with what it is that you now have as a purpose in your life. And together, we're beginning to shape something experiential, something immersive that embodies that philosophy in the real world. That's what we're trying to build here, right? And we've been doing this for the better part of the last year. And with Shannon's, recent engagement with the platform, and I'll let her speak about what that experience has been like. And maybe I'll like what I hear, maybe I won't. But and we're planning an inaugural gathering this May, and we'll get into that a little bit more too.
Yeah.
And that we're still sculpting, because I love the fact that things are organic, that they actually are allowed to breathe and find their own path versus be so friggin' curated, so friggin' controlled. Every single, nuance, grin, smile, angle of the camera, up, down, whatever, is so friggin' ridiculous at this point. Count me out, right? Something immersive that we're still sculpting, that already carries the DNA of what the Raad Life is becoming. And every day it's becoming. And I love the fact that it's not a still thing, by the way.
Not at all.
Shannon, my friend, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Raad. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for including me. Even cooler, thanks for making me an addition to your Freedom Always campaign, really, and part of the Raad Life. I'm really excited to be here.
You know, I say this, and I find myself saying this more and more, that in life, sometimes we are invited to things,
Yeah.
or we are basically told we have to be at things. Well, forget that I have to be, because as a Gen X generation, don't tell me what to do was probably, etched in my, underneath my skin before I even could say any word.
Yeah.
But don't tell me what to do. But at the same time, I think it's being invited, and invited to do what, right? A lot of times in life, we are invited to lead. We're invited to follow. There's not a lot of times in life where we're invited to just walk along, right? So I've never felt like a top-down management style in whatever it was I was doing, right?
No.
And I never thought that you wanted to limit people's natural DNA abilities, but rather, if you were really a person that was going to add value, was to try to provide a platform for people to just rise to that potential, to aspire to inspire, right? And so the invitation to walk along is my privilege, actually, to be able to do that with you. And from the minute I saw you, after we hadn't seen each other for a while, I'm like, oh my God, the alignment, the serendipity, the timing is so perfect. And there is a lot of truth in life for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it a little. So you brought me in to walk along with you through this experience. We hadn't seen each other in
easily a couple of years.
Yeah. Our paths continued to cross throughout my time at Lux Magazine, throughout my time at Middleby, you're building your business. We even had an opportunity to do a show house. We won't go down that road, but we'll talk about that.
But it's important because that was a transition point for you. That was a threshold that you were already exploring before going back into a sort of a more structured corporate role. Right. And it is important, I think, to mention that sometimes the world and your path is giving you a little insight, giving you a little preview of something, right?
True.
And sometimes when it's genuinely the true alignment, years could pass, and you find yourself again being told, here's a thing that reminds you of what you attempted or explored, but maybe didn't pursue, and here's another situation, to the point where you can't deny it. Like, you can't even ignore it anymore. You're just like, okay, fine, sign me up. Let's take this journey.
Really, that's kind of what you did for me, whether you realized it or not. So imagine this. I'm in a different place in my life. I'm running Curated Connections. I created this business about 4 years ago. It's all about experiences, networking, connections, and art. Because, oh, by the way, I'm an artist and I'm a muralist, just to add to all of it. So I've created this business. I'm out showing my surfboards, these custom done surfboards.
Beautiful surfboards, but really nice. Really nice,
Beautiful custom surfboards. I'm at a trade show. It's about 2 degrees because the wind was blowing. And raining.
And windy.
I'm bundled in a jacket. And very honestly, all that was going through my head at that moment was, how much would I pay somebody to take my spot so I could be sitting on a couch warm with my husband and my dogs? Really, that's all I wanted. But here comes this energetic life force, and in walks Raad. Okay, so that's when life changes. That's where you have to stand and go, okay, somebody's talking to me up there. All right, I'm listening. You and I connect. You ask me what I'm doing. You tell me what you're doing. And something instantly feels right. Yeah. You and I texted after that, like, wow, there was a lot of connection. Let's talk about business alignment, because this makes sense. Fast forward a month later, I'm in this weird transitory place in my life, and you're showing me this. All right, so this is what is presented to me. this gorgeous glossy magazine, which, for those of you who know me, you know that I love beautiful publications. So Raad presents this beautiful upscale publication that is filled with gorgeous content. And what I'm gathering as I'm reading it is, wait a second, Raad is living his best life. Raad is living the Raad life. He is living it. He is embodying it. And now you come to me and say, hey, how do we make this better? What do we do together? Mm-hmm. Okay, and so now in a matter of a few months, we've created a platform that is podcasts, networks, exchanges, events, art opportunities, speaking opportunities, educational opportunities, and we've created a movement. And I have to tell you, you personally gave me that opportunity, because we all have
am I
that
blushing?
aha.
I don't know. That's really sweet. Thank you.
We all have that aha moment. You helped bring me an aha moment. You connected my curated connections business with the Raad Life and all of the things that we could do together, which is really quite impressive. Literally, if you look at the last 3 months, we are relaunching a website that it'll be about voices. It's going to be transition. It's going to be voices. It's going to be about Raad living his Raad life and why freedom always. We've got this
and inviting people to do the same, reminding everybody that what instinctively was maybe, or subconsciously, was how we lived our lives before, where we had those moments of bliss and we had those moments of joy, and we were kind of happy-go-lucky going around life before, we got kicked in the shins and bumped our legs, our knees against tables, proverbially, in real life, and we forgot some of the simple stuff that we first and foremost not only are entitled. We almost have a personal responsibility to ourselves, a sovereign responsibility to ourselves, to actually give ourselves permission to pursue a freedom of designing our lives on our own terms. Yeah. Responsibility comes in life. We meet it, whether it's business, whether it's family, whether it's kids, or whatever. Along the way, it's very natural. Along the way, we deprioritize that aspect.
We do.
And yet, here's an opportunity in life to sit still long enough to remember how to play, how to find joy versus just happiness, which in my mind is less fleeting.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's anchored in your source coding. It's on your own terms. Your happiness, your joy, your form of play is maybe not mine. But to remember that you have the right to give yourself permission to do that. The freedom always is not just a slogan, it's actually an embodied thing. And when you resonate with people that have, through their own journeys, come to similar awareness. Right. And you really, I'm really touched, Shannon, honestly, and I got probably a little teary-eyed, so I will apologize. I tried to hide behind my glasses, but it didn't work. But I will tell you, just to kind of wrap up that full circle about that event, the interesting thing, and I don't know if I shared this with you or not, you had never told me that you were like, can I find somebody to basically just, fill my place, stand next to my beautiful surfboards, and I can go basically bundle up me with my husband and drive all the way back to Orange County and say, forget this, right? I left, I was there, and I left, and I went to the parking lot. And I basically was sitting there taking a phone call in the car, and honest to God, I almost did not walk back in. And then I said, okay, look, because to me, it was nice vendors and some people that I knew, whatever, but I just wasn't feeling it. Like going to events like that in the past, no disrespect to the event, it's an amazing event. And you ever get a chance to go to West Edge, you should go to West Edge as a designer or anybody that's involved in the industry. Megan Riley puts on an amazing event. Agreed. Right? Agreed. And it's very different, right? But for me, it was like, I wasn't feeling it, right? And I almost didn't walk back in. I almost literally turned on the keys and drove back Do you even turn on the keys? Push the button and go back to Orange County, right?
Yeah.
But I walked in. And ironically, where I walked in, you were right in front of me.
Yeah. Happened to be a corner booth next to the biggest gaping door that had the wind blowing in. And there you were.
And look what the wind blew in, right?
Look what the wind blew in.
Look what the wind blew in. But it's really been amazing.
Just 3 months.
It has been only 3 months.
Yeah.
And yet it feels like absolutely what organically should happen.
Yeah.
On every level, right? I love the fact that you feel that kinship, because it's also a reflection of what we're trying to build. Like this is not a business venture. Like you said, it's a platform.
No, this is a partnership, a collaboration.
Yeah.
It's a platform for voices.
Yeah.
And all you've done is you created a platform to give others voices, and now you've brought me in to start bringing in other voices.
Here's a stage. There's a mic. Come tell us about your thing.
Yeah.
And somebody asked me the other day, and we'll talk about it a little bit, about the collaborative nature of this. I will tell you, I think for me, it's always been, whether it's in a design environment where you're working within a team, right? A creative energy basically feeding of itself. Every environment is different, what your role kind of ends up becoming, morphing into. But that collaboration, if that collaboration was not part of a process for me, not only would I get bored very quickly with it, I would lose interest and enthusiasm in participating. And it's not necessarily what it is that we're working on so much as the fact that we are working together towards whatever it is.
Right.
Putty, Play-Doh, paint a surfboard,
build
a building.
Let's talk about what it is, though. We're building outside of podcasts.
Yeah.
Do we talk about May 2nd?
Oh, we should.
Can we?
We should. But before we go there.
Oh, okay. I got excited.
I want to begin with something simple, because
right.
we went off like, you and I basically are so in alignment. We're like, we're ready over here. We're ready to get to the roof deck, but let's start at the beginning, right? And again, but it's relevant to curated gatherings, right?
Yeah.
If someone walked into one of your curated gatherings, or one of ours, whatever, and asked, who is Shannon Ratcliffe really? Okay, what would you say?
Shannon is a mom. I think mom title is like above everything. I wear that like such a badge of honor. Shannon is a mom, and she is a artistic soul who feeds off of other people's successes and energy. I'm an energy vampire. Or I'm looking for
amplifier.
I'm an amplifier. There's the word. Not a vampire. I'm an energy amplifier. I think that's kind of who I am.
I think we may have just came up with a new term, by the way.
I think
you hear energy vampire all the time. I've never heard anybody say energy amplifier.
Energy amplifier.
Energy
I like
amplifier,
it.
Yeah.
I like it. I think that's what somebody would say about me. Everybody knows I'm artistic. Everybody seems to know I'm social. That's not a big surprise. Yeah. I don't think everybody understands. I truly, in order to feed my soul, I have to bring people together. If I don't, my husband will tell you this, my children, my family will tell you this. I like bringing people together. I like business to happen that way. I like friendships nurtured that way. It's why I've brought art into it, because I believe between food, booze, and art, you can create a whole lot of great relationships.
Right. Those memorable experiences.
Yeah.
So I'm going to challenge you just a little bit.
Okay. Bring it.
So what part of that identity feels most true to you right now in this season?
Creative amplifier.
All right, I'll take that. Yeah. Right. Next, I want to go with a little bit of digging.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Okay, we're digging.
Because this show has never shied away from doing that. Okay.
Oh,
Now, I will tell you though.
okay.
Okay, how far you want to dig and where do you want to, there's an old saying that says when you find yourself in a hole, put down the shovel. So,
Okay.
when you get to the point where you want to put down the shovel, I'm leaving that all up to you, right?
Deal.
But
Deal.
all just aside, I want to talk a little bit because for those, we talked about your art and your creativity and all of that side of it, right?
Yeah.
But you also were absolutely like stellar superstar in when it came to the editorial stuff. And so I want to talk about Lux and the culture years.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
At Lux,
Mm-hmm.
you were immersed in rooms filled with architects,
Mm-hmm.
designers,
Mm-hmm.
creative types, leaders in their field, right? At the top of their fields in their game,
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
probably, right?
Yeah.
What did you learn being that close to visionaries?
That's a great question.
I try to come up with them every once in a while.
Visionaries are not, well, you're a visionary. I'm learning to be a visionary. I've surrounded myself with others that are visionaries. And the one thing I've learned is visionaries are extraordinarily creative, but they're willing to learn from others. They don't, those that are visionaries and in the top of their game, in learning more about them, they never did it by themselves. They built even if it was just one or two really tightly knit people, best builders, architects, without naming names. We've got this amazing architect, and you know who he's got behind him? A fabulous wife. We've got a metal cabinetry maker. You know who's behind her? Her family. It's amazing how these visionaries surrounded themselves with really great people. And more importantly, visionaries were willing to share their story. Those that were selfish and were money motivated were never willing to open up. Those clients that you would go in and it was a gorgeous showroom, but there wasn't a whole lot of relationship. There was nothing behind the scenes. There was no honesty. There was no truth. You could tell the visionaries from the non-visionaries. You could, after a couple of years being at Lux, I could walk into a showroom and go, this one's going to make it. And ooh, not a chance. That one's got not a chance at all. And we're talking, some gorgeous showrooms. And I was pretty right on most of them along the way.
It's funny because that type kind of, I'm hearing you say this, and it reminds me of what we were just talking about. That what we're really talking about is whether it's through the support, whether it's personal relationships or professional relationships or community, right? You're talking about really what separates performance from presence. Like these showrooms that are gorgeous are a form of performance. Yeah. But they have no soul and presence, right? They don't have excellence through community, right? It's to kind of make reference to an old movie set kind of thing. It's a flat backdrop, with no substance behind it, right? Right. And so it's interesting. And so as a follow-up to that, because also again, what you were doing, what we're doing kind of with the print side of things, it could be called as a traditional platform. Like, all right. So going through what you went through, did you start to see limitations to traditional platforms?
I did. So, Lux was a great place to work. I worked with visionaries. I had an incredible team. It was really a fortunate time for me. And, a lot of people don't know this, but I was an art major at UCLA. And then I funneled myself into sales and all kinds of different things. The next thing I knew, now I'm around beautiful art, talented individuals, visionaries, and a gorgeous magazine to represent. And after a couple of years, what I realized was print was just a vehicle. It was the connections. It was the true camaraderie. It was the visionaries sharing their visions. It was the panel discussions, which is one of the ways I met you. You were on a panel that I had moderated. Visionaries were the ones that were sharing their stories. Visionaries were the ones who were partnering up to give a voice to themselves and to their team. And print was just kind of limiting. Now that's where events came from, and connections, and where even back in the day, this is pre-2020, the internet was hot, but it wasn't everything. That's when the networking, one-on-one relationships really worked. Events really worked. Print media was just kind of a vehicle at the time.
It's funny mentioning the internet. I jokingly say this because I know that it basically raises like questions in people's eyes, especially if they're very much younger than me. I say I've been online since '94.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
At the time of they're like, what was there in '94? Like bulletin boards, right?
Yeah.
And then AOL at $1 a minute, right? So at one point, and again, when we talk about traditional platforms and we think print is traditional platform, right? Okay. I would challenge that internet and social media is a traditional platform now.
I would have to agree.
Right?
It's its own platform, yeah.
But it's also traditional at this point.
100%.
After 10, 15 years of very fast-paced technology. And if you don't believe me, then why do people gravitate and move from one thing to the other? Why is now, almost TikTok will go through its own period, you know?
I agree.
Facebook, Instagram will find generational resonance, whether it's through social, whether it's X, for those of us who remember when it was still Twitter, right? I mean, the point is you can repackage and rebrand and all this stuff, but I would suggest that if you really want to basically be contrarian for a minute, allow yourself the thinking that social media and internet is traditional platform. So here's the deal. What's next? Isn't it interesting that very specified, like print, handwritten stuff is making a comeback? You don't believe me? What are Gen Alpha doing with Snapchat? I thought Snapchat died and went to some sort of technological graveyard, elephant's graveyard. No, here's Snapchat again, right?
Yep.
And it's being used in a different way. So it's interesting that some things as a platform or a medium, to your point, it's just a channel. But the core source of what is important, that storytelling that's genuine and authentic, not curated for marketing only, right? The genuine, vulnerable, personable, maybe not personal, but personable sharing.
Yep.
That community building. It's as old as when we all kind of gathered around in loinskins, basically around the fire, and basically grunted at each other, and it will always be there. And that will transcend any kind of platform, in my opinion.
I would agree. I think that's why when I started Curated Connections, it was about events and keeping people connected. And really, honestly, selfishly, it was keeping me connected to the design industry. I'm no longer publisher at Lux. What's next? I'm representing these different companies. I want to still be tied to it. Let's be tied to it. Print, to your point, internet, these are all now traditional. What's hot is what we all remember. Remember when we were in Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts
I
as
was,
kids?
Boy Scouts, yeah.
We went to camp and, you'd spend a week with everybody and you'd go, oh my God, I love these people. And it was amazing. And you'd come home and your family would go, oh my God, you bonded with these people in
Summer
just a
camp.
week. Summer camp. Wow. Literally.
Playing with the neighbors' kids outside, for those of us who remember, because we're Gen X and it's the greatest generation, whether you like it or not, I'm going to claim it.
Fully agreed.
But yes, I mean.
So we spent time together and we had fun. So.
Without an iPhone, without anything. In fact, the parents were like, "Just don't even show up back home. Here's the key. Let yourself in, and basically just show up when the lights come up on the street lights. Meanwhile, figure out the rest of it on your own."
Yeah.
And so I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. I got interviewed for this summit that this lady is putting together, and look for social media postings. We will share with this because it's sort of like an opportunity for the Raad Life as well. But we were talking about the fact that there wasn't even a generational split. That when you went outside and you played with your family, with your friends and neighbors' friends, right?
Yep.
You may have been the same age as the person who's across the street or down the street, right?
Yep.
But they also had an older sibling or a younger sibling, okay? And the older siblings looked out for not only their own younger siblings, they looked out for the kids, the neighborhood younger
100%.
kids, right?
Yep.
And then that kind of role kind of then became
Yep.
yours, and so forth and so on. The camaraderie wasn't age based, wasn't even gender based at our time, right? And those things are things that had meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Versus just how society today puts value on. It was actually meaning value.
It was a need. You needed to play with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
You needed to get your craziness out after
Mm-hmm.
sitting behind the desk all day.
Yeah, because when nobody got diagnosed with ADHD, by the way, there was no medication. We were just all had a lot of potential, but if we only applied ourselves.
Yes.
That was the feedback from every teacher parent conference I got after the next morning. It was like, well, they said that you have a lot of potential, but you could only apply yourself. I'm like, wow. Maybe there's this thing called ADHD and I need some medication. I'm glad that I didn't, but I'm just to your point. Like, yes, we needed this.
We did. So you know what we need now? We need that again.
Mm-hmm.
It's that connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place for all of us. Look, I'm not the only, we're sitting in a different place in our lives. We've had these great careers. We've raised our kids. The title of mom in the badge that I wear so much is no longer my head title, although I wear it proudly. I'm creative maven now. That's my joy, is to find opportunity for everybody to have a voice, and getting people
creative
together.
Amplifier. Yep.
Creative amplifier.
Mm-hmm.
And getting people together for lunches, specialty dinners. Raad reads, your favorite books. Listening to your favorite you know how I feel about your podcast list. Your Spotify music list is awesome. We need to learn from each other. We need to spend more time together, just taking us back to our childhood roots, where connections that are truly authentic matter. And that's where we are. We're bringing that connection back.
What's interesting is, if you were lucky enough to have that kind of experience, like that kind of childhood, if you will, for lack of a better way of describing it, it was happenstance. You did not have intentionality or deliberateness or steadfastness to pursue that. You just instinctively followed that because it was there, because society allowed that to happen, right? It has been kind of lost along the way, right? But here's the beauty about being at this stage, is that you have that reference and you remember. And now you have an opportunity to do it intentionally, with clarity.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not just something that just happens to you. You're actually designing your Raad life, if you will, on your own terms.
Absolutely.
Right. And that goes back now brings us again to this idea of sovereignty, right? This pivot into sovereignty, right? Which is a word that I'm, seasons is a great word. I love the word seasons. I love the word sovereignty now, right? Okay. So I want to ask you, was there a moment when you realized Shannon was ready to author something of her own in that capacity, like introducing that philosophy of sovereignty? Like, have you been thinking of identity threshold moments, especially in midlife? Like, was there a moment when you're like, I'm claiming my own sovereignty? Or did it just kind of sneak up on you a little bit?
Oh no, mine was slapped in my face. I was laid off. I had a job that I could consider probably be one of the most awesome companies I'd worked with. I loved my teammates. My very best friend of 30 plus years was working alongside of me in the showroom, and whack upside the head, all of a sudden, no warning, no nothing, on a Friday. Hey, by the way, I don't even know how to tell you this, says my boss. We have to let you go. Your position's been eliminated. I was crushed. That was the moment where it felt like everything in my world completely crumbled. And within about 48 hours, it was all built up. And that's what was weird. I went home and I cried, and my husband and my children and everybody were really supportive. And I started painting, feverishly. And I was working at a location called South Winds Farm and Garden that's this beautiful open space. And I just sat and I painted there, and I painted signage for it. Nothing crazy, nothing nuts. And it was in that moment that I went, wait, I am reclaiming. This is nuts. Why am I doing this rat race? Why am I making so much money for everybody else? I have a business that I've been kind of working on. Maybe it's time to take care of me. Maybe it's time for me to live my next world. And literally within a couple of months of all of that, and then you and I met, and so here we are. I mean, it hasn't even been a year since all of this.
So so
you've been part of this whole journey too,
right? And you have been part of mine, and it's ongoing. And the thing that's interesting is you used you said something, you referenced something, and then you used the word reclaim. Okay, reclaim. Just sit with that for a second. That's a very strong word. Like, you took full ownership, authorship, sovereignty in reclaiming, dare I say, your freedom. In reclaiming your freedom, and remembering that it was always yours to reclaim.
I know, isn't that the craziest thing? It's even having you say it out loud and having me say it back to myself sounds ridiculous. I reclaimed my freedom. But I did.
Which really was only denied
by myself.
But at the end of the day, it was denied by yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
So the last several months, I've spent a lot of time doing some self-reflection, some self-healing, and really trying to find that happy, you know, that next phase look between menopause and life and your, empty nest syndrome and all these other things. It's a lot. And then here comes this, we're going to live our freedom always life. What does that really mean? So, okay, you know what it means? It means dumping the past and all the baggage and reclaiming what makes us happy. And for me, what makes me happy is seeing other people thrive and survive and learn and grow and being artistic.
Well, the creative outlet. And
the creative outlets.
And the magazine for me was that. And you said something that was interesting, like when you hit that wall, when you hit that thing that was forced upon you.
Yeah.
There was a part of you that almost on autopilot found a need to express that energy in a creative way.
And let's be really clear, I really hadn't painted in 20 years.
Right.
I mean, the last time I painted something, I think it was a dartboard for my husband pre-kids. Like, you do a little dabble here and there, but I mean, I sat down and hand painted custom signs for every single space. It was
after 20 years of not doing it.
After 20 years, and going back to
where did that literally? I mean, it's almost a rhetorical question, but where did that come from as a source that at that moment in time, that is what triggered for you? Like when I had a similar experience from, kind of like having something hit me in the face, my instinct, I don't know, I will admittedly say, I don't know where it came from, was to kick into this creative high gear that was not even defined. Like, I didn't know what the end game was. People will say, well, what does success look like? I didn't know what success looked like. And honest to God, did not care to know what success looked like.
Right.
I didn't want to know where this journey was going to go. I'm going.
Right.
Let's build the plane and figure out, as we fly it and see whether we crash, we crash, right?
We
crashed. There's an interesting way, and I've mentioned this to you before. I love history. I love mythology. And one of the things that I refer to is just how looking at things from a different perspective is everything.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if I said to you the story of Icarus, right? Most people would say, well, the moral of the story of Icarus is that he dared to fly close to the sun. He flew too high. He had the hubris and the audacity to actually not listen to his father, the wiser person, and flew too close to the sun, and the wax of his on the wings melted, and he fell to his demise. And so that is the moral of the story. Well, for me, it was like he actually friggin' dared to fly close to the sun.
He got so high.
Can we just get to that? Leave it at that?
Right? He got close enough that it even melted his wings.
He dared.
He dared to do it.
To rise to a higher
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
Right? In spite of what society, exemplified by his father, was
Right.
telling him. Right?
Yeah.
He paid the price, but that moment when he was
Mm-hmm.
at that point.
You're right.
Right? He had the freedom to actually dare to rise to a higher level from where he was at, to self-author that moment for himself.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I have to say, the space, you know, when you put yourself in the right space, that's everything. I was newly laid off. Literally, I felt like the world crumbled within a couple of days. But then sitting out at Southwinds, this gorgeous green space. I mean, it's
really
it's
beautiful.
7 acres of a farm and garden space. It's really tremendous. And watching the bunnies and watching the hawks, and there's a chicken, there's a hen. I'm not going to tell you that he's not my favorite thing, Jerry Seinfeld Jr. But anyway, I digress. Sitting there, I hadn't really wanted to paint. And then I started painting the signs. And then in my head, I went, you know, I've been doubting myself. If I can paint a sign, why can't I paint a mural? Yeah. If I can paint a mural, why can't I paint a bigger mural? So, by the way, in the last, year, I've now painted multiple murals, indoor and outdoor. I just finished a 3-wall mural at a local school. Yeah. I painted multiple surfboards. I think the answer is I dared to try it. And 30 years ago, I'm old. 30 years ago, I had a professor in college say, yeah, art's not your thing. And maybe he was wrong. Maybe my art was my thing, as long as I keep bringing it to other people to educate.
Well, it wasn't art the way he did it. Maybe it wasn't what he thought was art, right?
Yeah.
But who the hell cares? You know, as Gen Xers, we always have used to say, whatever. So whatever.
I know. I should.
Whatever.
Right?
We should go back to using whatever. But yeah, no, it's true. I had a music teacher. Basically, I'm basically taking up guitar, and I'm daring to aspire to taking up saxophone because I love that instrument. But I'm taking up guitar because I'm basically giving the middle finger to a music teacher that dared to tell my parents that I was musically deaf. In like high school, I was like, well, no, he's musically, he's like tone deaf. I'm like, well, okay, well,
I love that.
but you did talk about being in that room, like you talked about the space, right?
Yeah.
And how that, like in your setting with the south winds,
Yep.
right? How it is super important, right? So that the room as transformation, a space for transformation, right? You've always had that gift. I've said it before at the beginning, where it's shaping the rooms, not just events, but environments where something shifts, right? Even that little thing that we won't talk about that was happening, that was between you and I, where we basically tried to do an event at a house that was being built or something on the coast. Anyway, but be that as it may, environments has an impact, right? It's where things take place, right? I keep telling people that, design is not about, you're building a stage upon which people are invited to perform. And you can manipulate the potential outcome. That's called branding. It's branded spaces in a way. Yeah. But you have to allow for that sort of organic random component for experience in the environment. So when you create a gathering that feels intimate and catalytic, right? What are you paying attention to usually? Do you have certain go-tos that you use as basis for how you basically go about planning that?
Yeah, all of it matters. Every single detail matters, crazy enough, from the second that your guest walks up, what their experience is going to be, to how they're going to feel when they leave, and everything in between. One of the most successful things that a great event planner can do is bringing the like-minded people together. If you bring like-minded people together, it organically, everybody feeds off of each other. So that's the starting point, making sure that everybody's on the same journey. You don't want the teeny bopper, dare I say, next to, the aging female who could care less. Everybody has different stages in their life. So I like to go
Unless the purpose of the event is actually to connect those two, because as Gen Xers, we are a bridge generation. And
totally
so
agree.
That is a role that actually we should steward. And there are situations where bringing those entities together, whoever they are, has a purpose.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. For our sake, I think, and for my sake, I like bringing to people together that are like-minded, that have the same goal. And then it's every detail, from whether it's a meditation or a wellness retreat to an art retreat, from where you sit and the lighting down to the little details. What I discovered is, as an event planner, my job is no different than as a residential / commercial designer. We're all setting the stage, whether it's a 10-minute stage or a lifetime stage. We're all setting a stage for our events. And the way to make them successful is to cater to your audience, to make sure that when they leave, just as a guest walks into your home, a guest walks into your event and leaves feeling that special feeling.
And to that layering, the stage that we're building, every nuanced component of it has an impact, whether it's the backdrop, whether it's the lighting, whether it's the time of day that you have the event, whether it's the kind of food that you may serve or not serve.
Right.
It all is part of that layering of that recipe, if you will, right? So this is a perfect time for me to tease a little.
Oh, no.
Yeah, not you, but
okay.
tease the audience, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna you're gonna help me tease the audience,
Okay.
right? So let's, we've said we've been developing this new experiential format, right?
Yep.
Together for the Raad Life.
Yep.
Something immersive, rotational, layered, like we're saying, not a conference.
Nope.
Not a networking mixer. God knows
No.
I don't want to ever go to one of those again.
No.
So without getting into details, okay?
Okay.
Too much, because we said we're still sculpting it. And besides, people need to pay attention if they're really interested. We're not going to give it away just like that.
Fair enough.
What excites you about designing something that blends wellness, ooh, teaser, creativity, ooh, teaser, wealth, vitality, and conversation in a single day?
Okay, what doesn't excite me about all of that? Okay, let's put this together. We're creating a day that is fully experiential, that's fun, that's motivating, that's curated so everybody really feels part of the day. It's been well thought out because we have a great team behind us of event planners and strategists. A day of motivation, great food, beautiful scene. I don't know what's not to excite me.
No, that's I'll take.
That's about as detailed as I can
That's
get.
about, you got to get as much as details.
Yeah.
You got to follow the platform. Go to the Raad Life, subscribe so you can get their newsletter, so you don't miss out any of this stuff, because that's just how we are. We're not going to give it to you right away, right?
Nope.
I mean, what's the point? Like, you're going to read a book? You're going to read the last pages first? No. We're not. So, but let's talk about how what we're working on, right?
Yep.
How's it compared with, would you compare this, if there's even a comparison really, right, to a traditional lifestyle event? Because you were doing lifestyle events, right?
Here's the difference. The difference is a lifestyle event is a one-day event. We're creating a live event that will have multiple layers. So not only are we creating a one-day event, but we will be creating multiple events that will kind of grow on each other. Where a lot of the wellness days are just a one day, you go, you leave. Our hope is not only are you going to go, but you're going to fall in love with what we're doing so much that you're going to want to come to other events. But it's not just our live events. It's going to be sitting with you. Our hope is that we're inviting guests that have those voices, that have the stories to share. We're trying to create this movement and this event that's not just a one day, it's something completely different, where not only people are kind of having fun, and again, it's like a day at camp. We want everyone to bond and have a great time. We want to feed you really well, but we really want to create a day that feels different, that you feel like you're tied to something, that you want to continue to contribute your voice to it. Maybe you leave there knowing you have a lot to give. We want to be that platform to give you the opportunity to share what you have to give.
And there's a reason why we're calling it Seasoned Lives.
Yeah.
That should be an indication to you of what immersive experience you get to share with other people.
Yeah.
It's really bringing in those seasoned lives and giving them an opportunity to interact, and providing stuff around it that's a part of the, sort of like an immersive experience But then it's also a fluid thing. Like we're not planning to do it as a one-off. We're going to basically have a series of them over the course of the year. It will evolve and branch into other stuff possibly. Um, there's a vision here that you have for this, right?
I do. It's a one-day event that also has this power behind it on the social media. Our new traditional media, our social media, live on our website. You've given us, and I say us because you've got a great team behind you. You've given those of us who are on your team this opportunity to bring in some great voices, but also find a lot of great voices. And between the podcast opportunities, the event that we're talking about, Seasoned Lives, our website relaunch that'll have voices, we're creating this movement. And that's what's really important to me. It's this movement of freedom, following your freedom always mantra, which I think is so important, but it's really living the Raad life and what that's all about.
And it again, it's just use that as a sort of a call it a personal starting point, right? It's your life. Replace the word Raad, put your own life in there. What does that best life look like, right? What again, I'm struck by these conversations that we have, not surprised by them, but the sort of the universality of the tone of these conversations. What I'm struck by again today is that, again, midlife or this phase of life, and I hate the word midlife because it's really not descriptive.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it may be 2/3 and a third in. Like it doesn't matter. You could be having this existential kind of moment of rupture or whatever in their 30s. We've all probably had ones in their 30s. We just didn't realize that was what we were going through. Yeah. And here we are, that midlife isn't really so much about reinvention for the sake of novelty.
Right.
Okay, it's not about getting rid of things. No, it's getting rid of people. I'm going to just throw everything out and basically start again. It's really about reclaiming, and that's a word that I'm full credit to you, reclaiming sovereignty. Okay, it's realizing that the performance identity that got you here doesn't have to define what comes next.
Not at all.
Right? We've known each other for over a decade. And watching you step into the next chapter, actually, like I said, doesn't feel like a pivot. It's more like returning to who you've always been. Do you feel that?
I do. I feel it in the energy. I feel it in the connections that are happening. I feel it in just, dare I say, you put out the good, you get the good. The universe feels like it's listening.
That energy and creative amplifier again?
Yeah.
Okay. If anybody uses that, we're trademarking it. So it's you can't use that. So energy amplifier. You can use energy vampire all day long, but we're going to claim energy amplifier.
Agreed.
And thanks for being here.
Thank you. The next time we do this, I think we should have another guest here and just pepper them with all kinds of fun questions. I think we should do more of these. I enjoy this.
So you know what's funny? I told you this before when we first started talking. I said, you're going to get the bug. You're going to get the bug. I've been doing this for 10 years, and I started by saying I will do it 1 month at a time. Right? And my closest thing of wanting to do this was, well, maybe I'll do some voiceovers like Mel Blanc. If you guys don't know who the hell that is, go check out who Mel Blanc is, right? Famous cartoon voices. Yeah. But basically, maybe I'll do voices for Mel Blanc. That's as close as I ever got to basically thinking I'm going to sit in front of the mic. Here we are 11 years into doing this 1 month at a time, right? And if you wonder why, it's because of this. It's because the exchanges, the conversations, the ability to actually really connect, okay? And people say, well, but it's too long a format. Well, then stop listening, honest to God, right? It's like if you want just, the 42 characters or less and the 30 minutes, little shorts, then stick to the traditional platform. We're claiming this as a reclaimed platform.
Done. It's ours.
Of storytelling, right?
We're reclaiming it.
And if you're feeling that quiet nudge, I will remind you again, that sense that something in your life is ready to be authored differently, stay tuned first and foremost to yourself. And then maybe find some some camaraderie and guidance in the or some examples by following us at theradlife.com and look at and embracing that community. The inaugural immersive gathering is another opportunity for the Raad Life to be there for you in that way, and that's coming in May. So details soon, but please follow us on social, traditional media. And has anybody ever said this more times than I have today? Okay, and I think I'm going to get sued by Facebook and Instagram for calling them traditional media, right? But basically, it's an opportunity for you to do that. So follow us on that. Go to the website. Please subscribe to theradlife.com so you can get our newsletter directly. We can't email you unless you basically subscribe. And there will be more details soon about that event. This is about vitality.
Yeah.
I don't know if you picked up on that, right? But this is about vitality. It's about creativity. It really is about sovereignty. And it's about authorship over performance. And freedom always. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you on the next Raad Life.
Thank you.
Thank you.